Hi everybody, this is Dr. Joe Borio with this week's Health Kick, and today I wanted to talk about celiac disease. It's also known as non-tropical sprue. It's a condition in which people have an intolerance to wheat, or to be more specific, gluten. And I just actually attended a seminar put on by Dr. Tom Culleton, and we learned actually a lot more about or the disease or the intolerance. A couple of difficulties in understanding gluten intolerance or disease, if you will. There's a difference between the two, and I want to explain that to you as well and what the potential problems are in regarding both of those. But let's talk about gluten or wheat, for example. Let's start there just to kind of have a foundation. Gluten is a protein that is actually in wheat, and it increases in the amount in the wheat based upon how the wheat is prepared. That being said, the problem that we're having with our wheat is that we have genetically altered our wheat, is one problem, to make it more hardy so that it could handle different types of environmental factors. So what happens is they take these seeds and they genetically alter it, so it's called genetically modified foods, right? And they do it for a good reason. The farmer says, geez, if it's really dry or really hot or really wet or windy or cold, my wheat dies. I lose a crop. I lose an enormous amount of money. So what they do is the Monsantos and other companies, they alter the seed of the wheat so that it becomes hardy. But here's the problem. The hardier the wheat, now it also has to be digested. So now the wheat is able to endure the environment of your gut. And as a result, your stomach and digestion, the enzymes in your mouth, when you start to chew, that's part of digestion. You actually chew your food for a reason, because your body has digestive enzymes that actually start right in your mouth. And then you swallow it, and it goes into your gut, your stomach, and there's hydrochloric acid and other enzymes in there. And then it goes in the duodenum, and then from the duodenum, your pancreas and your gallbladder squirt different forms of digestive enzymes in there as well. It's unbelievable, isn't it? And then as it goes through the small intestine, these enzymes work along with bacteria and helps the food digest. Then it goes into the large intestine. Large intestine absorbs water and nutrients, and then obviously you poop it out. So that's basically the gastrointestinal system. So if I put a hardier food in me, I can't break it down, or it's not fully broken down. So now I've got components of the wheat that are partially broken down. And as a result, they become irritating to the gut, to the colon, and that's when it becomes intolerable. So what happens is you can have an intolerance to the wheat. And we're starting to see that with more and more people because of the wheat grain that they're using now is more hardy, it's more difficult to digest. So you're seeing a larger number of people not experiencing celiac disease, they're experiencing difficulty digesting just normal wheat. Now we're told they have whole wheat. True, but whole wheat has more of the hardiness, if you will, because it's got more of the husk and the more durable aspects of the wheat. So sometimes whole grain, even though it's better for you from a carbohydrate standpoint, it might be more difficult for you from the sense of being intolerant to it. See how confusing it gets? Drives you nuts. Then we got another problem, and that's called celiac disease. Celiac disease is where the protein of gluten, which is in the wheat, the protein actually is absorbed into the circulatory system, and your body, your immune system, looks at it as a foreign object, much like it would a virus or a bacteria. So it creates an inflammatory reaction. Kind of think about like a bee sting. If you get stung with a bee, right, it creates an inflammatory reaction, or a mosquito or a wasp or something like that. So that occurs at a smaller scale in the intestine, often in the wall of the intestine. So celiac disease can cause a lot of problems. One, it can lead to like a Crohn's or an ulcerative colitis over long term, because that's an autoimmune disease where your body starts attacking itself. So it's shown that celiac disease can lead to a Crohn's or ulcerative colitis. It's also shown that celiac disease can lead to all types of other neurologic and musculoskeletal problems, which can mean anything. We know scientifically that it can lead to arthritis, so it can lead to joint pain, it can lead to headaches, it can lead to arm pain and muscle pains, so it can lead to fatigue. It can also lead to learning disability. The protein now can actually enter the brain or different tissues of the body is what's happening, and your immune system starts attacking it in these tissues, which creates an inflammatory reaction either in the brain or your arm or your elbow or your knee joint, and that's how it causes that inflammatory reaction, okay? So not good. We also know that it can lead to other autoimmune diseases. There was a few cases that were spoken about which had to do with Lou Gehrig's disease. Lou Gehrig's disease is where the body actually starts to attack myelin, or the plastic covering of your electrical wires in your body, your nerves. And what happens is these things start to cross a circuit, and the body loses its ability to function. So the patient will lose neurologic function, and it's a debilitating and it's a very serious disease. So there's people that now are cured, and certainly anyone you know that has a Lou Gehrig's disease is something you'd want to talk to them about. Do you want to remove the gluten? Some, not all people certainly, but some people are. It's actually the result of a gluten toxicity. A couple other problems with gluten. That is, we could test for gluten problems, but it's called a gliadin antibody. So that's the protein, gliadin. So what I do is I draw blood, I put gliadin in a jar with your blood, and I see if there's a reaction with an antibody. And if there is, I know they have a problem with it. But that's only one of several different types of protein of gluten in the wheat. And therefore, just because you test positive or negative to that doesn't mean that, if you test negative to it, it doesn't mean that you don't have celiac disease. And that's where all the new research is coming out. So what we need to really look at is whether or not your inflammatory rate. So if you get blood work, you want to check for SED rate, or you want to check for C-reactive protein. You want to look for antibodies that are positive against itself. If you start to see that stuff, one area to look at, not the only area, but one area to look at is gluten. You'd actually want to remove gluten. One of the more common problems you'll see in children is gastrointestinal problems. Typically diarrhea is what kids will get. And they also get eczema. They'll get a lot of eczema through their skin. And sometimes you get patches of eczema, but you'll also see kids where the whole body is dry. Their skin's really dry. The reason being is they're not absorbing proper nutrients. The gluten is irritating the lining, which is much like the inside of your mouth, of your gut, your colon, and as a result, the colon can't absorb nutrients as well, right? And therefore, you're not absorbing water, you're not absorbing zinc, you're not absorbing different types of vitamins, your B vitamins and so forth. They're not absorbed through the membrane as well, and as a result, what happens is the body will develop a sickness. It develops a deficiency, and therefore it'll show up in how the body functions. So gluten is very toxic. Actually, the human body wasn't really designed to eat wheat, is what most of the scientists are talking about. So now what we do in the United States, which makes it even worse, which I didn't realize until this event that I went to, is we store the wheat. So what happens is we farm and harvest wheat, and then we store it in silos 2 to 3 years. And by doing that, what happens is the wheat starts to ferment. So now by the wheat fermenting, that increases the content of gluten within the wheat, and therefore makes it more toxic for consumption. We also have to spray the wheat with different types of antifungal, antibacterial, herbicides, pesticides, now to store it in the silo, and now we're absorbing more of those toxins that we're putting on the wheat to store it as a preservative. They become extremely toxic for the body. So wheat is not a friendly thing for the human body. So certainly I would tell you, I would not make wheat a main staple of your diet. So if you're having a lot of bread, a lot of pastas and so forth, you want to go lean more towards organic, certainly go more towards whole wheat, whole grain, but I'd certainly reduce it. If you sense that there's any challenge, I'm not big on biopsies of gastrointestinal. 1 out of 200 kids are perforated in the colon for those tests. Blood tests aren't 100%. I'll tell you the safest, best way, the cheapest way to do it is just to eliminate wheat from your diet. Do it for about a month to 2 months and see if you notice a change in how you feel, any problems that you see with your child or yourself, see if the skin changes and so forth. If you see that dramatic change, then you can almost be assured that you're intolerant to it and you probably have some type of an autoimmune disease or problem with it. We're out of time, guys. I want to let you know that by all means, share as much of our health kicks to people and friends and family members. They're free. All they got to do is go right to our website or certainly send us an email. We'll be happy to add you to our list. Also remember that there's some important aspects of being healthy, and I'll finish with that. You want to make sure you're eating well, make sure you're exercising regularly, you want to make sure you're drinking a lot of water, make sure you're getting a good night's sleep, make sure you're talking really positive to yourself. You want to say good things to yourself in your head that allows you to be healthy, and make sure that you, your mother, your father, your kids, everyone you know should be under regular chiropractic care. Guys, this has been Dr. Joe Boyle with This Week's Health Kick. Have a great healthy week. I can't wait to talk to you next week.